Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
In a far-flung sector of the galaxy, the grand ballroom of the Luxian embassy shimmered under an array of multi-hued lights, each reflecting the incredible diversity of its inhabitants. The echoes of laughter and music filled the vast space, mixing with exotic perfumes that wafted through the air, creating an atmosphere ripe with potential. Humans, Xerians, and various other species mingled amidst the elegant decor of crystal and bioluminescent flora, a sight to behold, brimming with cultural richness. Among the guests, Leah, a daring human diplomat in her late 20s, stood out. With raven black hair cascading over her shoulders and sharp green eyes scanning the crowd, she embodied the spirit of Earth's boldness. Leah had earned a reputation for bridging the gap between species, her charisma and wit unmatched as she navigated this intricate dance of diplomacy. Despite the glamour surrounding her, Leah felt a familiar pang of isolation. Though she had forged connections with various species, moments like this underlined her differences. She was acutely aware of the foreign nature of the beings around her, and their intricate social dynamics often seemed like a puzzle she couldn't quite solve. Tonight was a significant occasion, a gala hosted by the enigmatic alien Aristocrat Virith, a stunning Xerian known throughout the galaxy for both their beauty and their powerful lineage. Leah had heard whispers of Virith's allure, tales laden with admiration and desire. In Xerian culture, aristocrats were not merely powerful, they were beautiful, and they wielded an intoxicating charm that drew others into their orbit. As the evening unfolded, Leah was drawn to the grand stairs, where Virith made their entrance. Dressed in an ornate ensemble adorned with shimmering jade and gold, Virith possessed an ethereal elegance that captivated everyone in the room. Their skin glowed softly, hinting at the bioluminescent properties unique to their species. Leah felt her heart quicken as Virith's violet gaze met hers across the ballroom. It was a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity. Virith descended the stairs like a figure from a myth, effortlessly commanding attention. The crowd parted as they approached Leah, and the din of conversation faded into an electric silence. "Ah, the bold diplomat from Earth." Virith's voice flowed like silk, smooth and enchanting. "I've heard much about you, Leah. Your reputation precedes you." "Only good things, I hope," Leah replied, her voice steady despite the flutter in her stomach. "Depends on who you ask," Virith teased, a playful glint in their eye. "I admire your bravery in the face of skepticism. It's rare among your kind." Leah smirked, feeling a rush of warmth at any insinuation of admiration from Virith. "I find that fear often holds people back from valuable experiences. Perhaps tonight, we might break a few barriers." With a tilt of their head, Virith's expression was a mix of intrigue and amusement. "Ah, I see. You are one who seeks to explore the unknown. Tell me, Leah, are you familiar with our customs?" As they spoke, the air thickened with unspoken tension. Leah learned that in Xerian culture, intimacy was expressed in ways decidedly different from human norms. One such act being the custom of salvi, a gesture of trust and affection involving spitting, meant to demonstrate vulnerability and acceptance. A ripple of disbelief coursed through Leah at the mere thought, yet something about Virith's playful arrogance sparked her curiosity. What could such a gesture entail? The challenge glimmered tantalizingly before her like a forbidden fruit, and yet the idea both thrilled and terrified her. As the night wore on, laughter turned to whispers as tensions began to brew between species, the usual tensions of cultural misunderstandings bubbling to the surface. Leah, ever the negotiator, stepped forward to calm escalating debates, drawing upon her innate ability to connect on a personal level. Virith watched her with a growing respect. "You have a fire in you, Leah. Perhaps you will enlighten others tonight." Driven by their gaze, Leah felt bolder. "Let's make this a night to remember, Virith. Shall we shake things up?" A smirk danced across Virith's lips as they leaned in closer. "I do believe you just might." As music swelled and color swirled around them, the two figures stood at the nexus of possibility, a human and an alien, bound by curiosity and growing admiration. Tonight was not just a gala. It was the beginning of something monumental, an exploration of the boundaries that separated them. With that, Leah sensed the tender threads of destiny weaving their paths together, challenging the very fabric of their respective cultures. All it would take was a willingness to embrace what lay outside their comfort zones. And as the evening unfolded, each playful banter danced dangerously close to revealing the deeper yearnings lurking beneath their words, ultimately leading to an unforgettable choice. The gala continued around Leah and Virith, the vibrant energy swirling like a mesmerizing whirlwind. Laughter echoed amongst the guests as they raised their glasses to celebrate unity among diversity. Yet the two of them stood in their own world, entranced by the magnetic pull of curiosity and desire that had blossomed between them. "What else can you tell me about your customs, Virith?" Leah asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "I'm fascinated by how our worlds differ." Virith tilted their head, intrigued. Each culture has its own expressions of intimacy. For the Xerians, Salvi represents more than just a gesture. It is a rite of passage, an acknowledgement of trust. It's a promise, symbolic of shared vulnerability. Their gaze held Leah captive, and she leaned in closer, feeling the warmth radiating off Virith. "So, it's like a way of saying you're not afraid to let someone into your inner circle?" "Exactly, but it is reserved for those whom we hold most dear," Virith replied, a glint of amusement in their eyes. "It is not a gesture taken lightly." "What if someone wanted to participate but was, unsure?" Leah asked, her heart racing at the thought of putting herself in such a vulnerable position. Virith's expression turned serious, and their violet eyes deepened in hue. "That takes courage, Leah. Our customs often challenge one's comfort, but therein lies the beauty of connection and understanding. Let me ask you, do you believe it's worth the risk?" Leah felt a surge of warmth at Virith's intensity. Beneath the layers of flamboyance and glamour, there was depth in their words. "Yes, but sometimes fear outweighs desire, especially when it comes to things that seem strange." With a knowing gaze, Virith stepped back slightly, assessing her. "Then let us explore that fear together." The music shifted, and a hush fell over the crowd as Virith gestured towards the central dais of the ballroom, a spherical platform adorned with twinkling lights and swirling colors. "We'll have a demonstration of trust. Would you care to join me?" Leah's breath hitched. "A demonstration?" "Yes," Virith said, voice smooth like velvet. "I shall perform the salvi, and you will watch, experience it if you will. No pressure, just the presence of possibility." The challenge sent ripples of exhilaration through her. The crowd of guests closest to the dais began to whisper, eyes glistening with anticipation. Conniving feelings of embarrassment and desire tangled within Leah. What would it mean to witness such an act? What would it reveal about her? After a moment's hesitation, she nodded. "All right, let's do this." Virith offered a charming smile and helped her up onto the dais. As they reached the center, the murmur of the crowd ceased, all eyes locking onto them. Leah's heart raced, not just from the gaze of dozens, but from the intimacy of the space shared with Virith. "Tonight, we will transcend boundaries," Virith proclaimed, their voice booming with conviction. "This is a celebration of understanding, not just between our species, but within ourselves." An electrifying tension hung in the air. The room pulsed, a living entity wrapped around them as Virith leaned closer. "Watch closely, Leah. Embrace the vulnerability of this moment." With a practiced grace, Virith executed the salvi, a fluid gesture of both confidence and intimacy. They drew closer, their lips just a hair's breadth away from Leah's cheek, and with a flick of their wrist, a subtle glimmer appeared. As Virith spit, an almost delicate act, it flowed gently onto Leah's skin, the warmth igniting a fire within her. She could feel the eyes of the onlookers upon them, the shock and awe mixing into an electric current of energy. Leah's breath caught as her mind raced through a whirlwind of thoughts. The act was strange, yet deeply personal, provocative and daring. It was as if Virith had not only challenged her perception, but awakened something dormant inside. Gasps erupted, both in admiration and disbelief, rippling through the crowd. The act had meanings far beyond the action itself. It was vulnerability laid bare before many, sparking an intriguing attraction that defied human convention. As the audience began to murmur, A mixture of applause and whispered debates ignited around them, nudging Leah closer to the precipice of intuition and desire. The boundaries were blurred, coaxing her to consider what this moment might mean if she yielded to the allure. Virith stepped back, watching her intently. "And now what do you feel?" For a moment, Leah stood frozen in the aftermath, the warmth pooling on her skin resonating with 1,000 unspoken questions. She sensed an urgency in the energy buzzing in the air. It was transformative. She hesitated, then gripped onto her resolve. "I feel alive." The corners of Virith's mouth curled upward in a satisfied grin. They had taken a step together, had challenged each other, crossed that invisible line separating them, and now what remained was the choice each must make next. The stares of the crowd remained unwavering, and in that moment, Leah grasped the magnitude of what it meant to be vulnerable, an intertwining of species deeper than she had ever anticipated. "Your turn," she said, her voice now filled with newfound conviction, daringly stepping into the unknown, inviting Virith to embrace the same risk she had begun to fathom. A flicker of surprise danced across Virith's face, quickly metamorphosing into excitement. "Perhaps I'm not the only one seeking to break barriers tonight." The plot was thickening, and beneath the surface hovered uncharted territories to explore. As tethers of expectation dangled like shadows between them, Leah sensed a magnetic pull, an invitation to traverse the very boundaries that had separated humans and Xerians for so long. A palpable silence settled over the audience as Leah stood defiantly, her heart pounding in rhythm with the chaotic swirl of emotions within her. She felt the exhilarating rush of breaking from societal norms, and the electrifying thrill of challenging not just Virith, but the expectations of an entire room filled with onlookers. Virith arched an eyebrow, their expression a blend of surprise and admiration. "You surprise me, Leah. Few would dare to challenge an aristocrat." "I suppose I'm not one for backing down," Leah replied with a sly smile, her confidence igniting a playful spark between them. "But I'm curious about the meaning behind the gesture. If you're willing to show me, why not take this plunge together?" Virith's eyes glimmered with intrigue, the violet depths revealing a cascade of emotions unbridled by the norms of their respective cultures. They stepped closer, an intoxicating energy swirling between them as the crowd's anticipation filled the air. "Very well," Virith said, their voice a sultry whisper. "If you truly wish to understand, then I shall show you the meaning of the salvi." Leah's breath hitched as Virith extended their hand, the elegant fingers beckoning her with undeniable allure. The moment felt monumental, as if the universe had pivoted on the axis of this singular encounter. She grasped their hand, feeling the cool texture of Virith's skin against her own, intimate in itself. As they moved closer together, the world around them faded into a singular focus. Leah sensed the weight of every gaze upon them, yet it felt like a cocoon, enveloping their shared moment in a private sanctuary. Virith tilted their head, curiosity dancing in their eyes. "A moment of vulnerability is upon us, Leah. Are you prepared?" "More than ever," Leah whispered, her voice steady despite the anxiety swirling in her stomach, excitement battling with fear in an intoxicating combination. With that, Virith leaned in, their breath warm against Leah's skin. Time stood still as Virith executed the Salzii, the act both delicate and deliberate. The spit glided from Virith's lips, landing softly on Leah's cheek, electrifying against her skin. In that instant, she felt a profound weight of connection. It transcended mere action. It encapsulated trust, freedom, and an ineffable bond forged between two often divided souls. A murmur broke like a wave through the crowd. The shocked gasps turned into whispers, a disarray of awe and surprise rippling throughout the hall. Leah's heartbeat synchronized with the ancient pulse of the act, the warmth of Virith's gesture igniting a fire within her that she never knew existed. As Virith stepped back, the intimacy of the moment laced with a daring challenge settled between them. "What do you feel now, Leah?" Virith inquired, eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. Leah's mind raced, caught between exhilaration and vulnerability. "I feel," she hesitated, searching for the right words. "I feel seen. Like I've crossed a threshold I never knew existed." Virith nodded, visibly moved. That is precisely the essence of Sci-Fi. To be seen is to embrace vulnerability. And when two beings from different worlds dare to break societal boundaries, it creates something wondrous. The crowd began to murmur again, but this time it was a blend of admiration and intrigue. They were witnesses to a rare moment, an alien and a human crossing the chasm of cultural divides, opening the door to something entirely new. Together, Lia said, her voice emerging with newfound conviction, we can challenge conventions, perhaps even redefine what connection means to our worlds. Viritha's smile broadened, genuine and inviting. You are unlike anyone I have ever encountered, Lia. Your spirit is infectious. Just as Lia felt a swell of pride, a sudden noise disrupted the moment. A group of Xerians, visibly disapproving of the display, stepped forward, their voices heavy with condemnation. This is unacceptable, one shouted, their tone laced with fury. You disgrace our customs by sharing them with a human. Such vulgar acts should not be presented in front of an audience. Lia felt a shiver race through her. The crowd shifted uneasily, the weight of scrutiny pressing down as the intensity in the air thickened. Virith held up a hand, interposing themselves between Lia and the detractors. This is my choice. The union of different souls can spark understanding, and it will not be dictated by the fear of tradition. The uproar in the room intensified, but Lia felt a rush of admiration for Viritha's defiance. They were standing firm, face to face with prejudice, guarding the bond they had just forged. As the objections continued to echo throughout the hall, the energy transformed into a simmering tension, leading to an unexpected realization for Lia. This wasn't simply about her and Virith, but about the future of their disparate cultures. Stepping forward to Viritha's side, Lia raised her chin, the fire within igniting. If we are to challenge these boundaries together, then we must do so boldly. We can change the narrative of our peoples, but only if we choose to stand united. Virith turned to her, their expression a mixture of pride and surprise. You are fearless, Lia. Together, we can emerge from this as harbingers of change. The crowd remained hushed, shock still apparent, yet a spark had ignited in the air, a dawning realization that perhaps change was indeed possible. A single moment could turn the tide. They were on the cusp of something monumental. The roar of challenges and objections began to fade, replaced by the captivating hope of something new, a vision of unity forged by vulnerability. With that, Lia and Virith linked their hands, standing side by side as champions of a progressive alliance, ready to face whatever came next. The throbbing pulse of anticipation filled the space as they prepared to rewrite the story of their respective worlds. As Lia and Virith stood hand in hand, a tide of uncertainty washed over the crowd. They were a living testament to the potential for change, yet the voices of dissent echoed like thunder, reminding them that not all were ready to embrace what they represented. The Xerians who had protested stepped forward, their expressions a blend of disdain and disbelief. This is an affront to our heritage. One of them spat, anger prickling in the air like static electricity. You would tarnish our traditions for the sake of a fleeting whim? Lia felt the heat rising in her cheeks, the sting of their words sending a shiver down her spine. It is not a whim, she snapped, mirroring the intensity of their gaze. We are all capable of learning from one another. If we remain shackled to outdated customs, we limit ourselves. A murmur rippled through the small group that had gathered, some appearing contemplative as they heard Lia's words. Virith turned to her, eyes gleaming with appreciation and admiration. You are unfathomably brave, Lia. Never back down from what you believe. The boldness of her statement had drawn a few curious eyes in the crowd. It seemed that some were beginning to reconsider the implications of their earlier judgments. Yet, the dissenters remained unmoved, their collective presence opposing change like a looming tempest. Nobody asked for your perspective, human. Another Xerian interjected, crossing their arms defiantly. You do not understand the depths of our traditions. No, I don't, Lia acknowledged, her tone softer yet steadfast. But that's why I'm here, to understand. Not just the superficial customs, but the emotions and experiences behind them. Is that not what culture is about? Tension hung palpably in the air as Virith took a step closer to her, offering silent support. The greatest achievements often start with difficult conversations. To believe in the potential for understanding means to challenge what we think we know. The dissenters seemed visibly unsettled by Virith's composed presence, the aristocrat typically commanding both respect and admiration. Their unwavering stance as they defended Leah began to shift the tone of the onlookers. Yet, resistance lingered like a shadow. One Zirian stepped forward, eyes narrowed. What future do you envision? One where we abandon our customs for the sake of acceptance? Not abandonment, but evolution, Virith replied, their voice calm yet tinged with conviction. A chance to build a future on empathy and understanding rather than fear. That's what Leah and I are standing for tonight. In that moment, something in the room shifted. Eyes once filled with skepticism began to soften. A flicker of curiosity ignited amidst the doubt. Leah looked around, sensing the delicate balance of this pivotal moment. Imagine a world where barriers no longer hold us captive, where differing customs are celebrated, not vilified. We can learn from one another, evolve together. A few Zirians exchanged glances, doubt etched on their features, but beneath the surface, the seeds of change were beginning to take root. Leah felt hope stir within her, a flicker against the storm. "Can you see it?" she continued, her voice rising with fervor. "A partnership founded on trust and respect? A chance to forge something beautiful rather than be defined by what separates us?" More murmurs swept through the crowd, the atmosphere charged with potential as those who once stood against them began to reconsider their positions. The dissenters, still proud in their beliefs, were increasingly finding themselves cornered by a message of unity and hope. Virith squeezed Leah's hand tighter, a silent reassurance that reminded her they were in this together. "Change is a laborious journey," they said softly, "one that requires patience and understanding. But we are worth fighting for." The room was growing heavier with anticipation. Debate teetered on the edge of transformation as the moments stretched like an elastic band. A path forward shimmered in the distance, but the journey was yet uncertain. Leah's heart raced as she sensed a turning point approaching. We might stumble as we challenge conventions, but isn't it through those very stumbles that we learn the most? What if we create a new legacy for our cultures, one of collaboration? Finally, one brave voice broke the silence. A middle-aged Zirian with gray-streaked hair stepped forward. "I abstain from harsh judgment. You have sparked something within me, a desire to understand. Perhaps there is merit in what you both seek." A wave of gasps swept through the crowd, and for the first time that night, a sense of possibility blossomed like a wildflower breaking through concrete. Leah felt her chest swell with hope. The corners of her lips turned upwards as she glanced at Virith. "Maybe this is just the beginning," Virith spoke softly, their gaze never leaving Leah's. "Together, we can rewrite our story," Leah replied, threading her fingers through Virith's as the audience watched, captivated by the unfolding narrative. As the atmosphere shifted into reconciliation, a sudden surge of mixed emotion swept over Leah. She realized she was not only fighting for interspecies unity, but she was also discovering the depths of her own courage to embrace the extraordinary. In that moment, they were not just a human and an alien. They were pioneers of a relationship that surpassed the old paradigms. They stood before both the silent resistance and the burgeoning hope in a single stroke of bravery, a symbol of connection, anchored in trust, poised to challenge the very customs that had governed their existence. With the atmosphere palpable and charged with newfound possibilities, the air filled with tentative hope, conversation sparked around them, a network of dialogue interlacing between different species, a mix of curiosity and apprehension woven into the tapestry of unity. Leah felt like a spark in a darkened room, igniting the flames of understanding and collaboration. As the murmur softened, Virith leaned closer, their voice barely above a whisper. "We have weathered the first storm, but there is still much more to navigate. What comes next will demand courage." Leah nodded, her heart racing with a sense of purpose. "Maybe we can guide others through this journey, inspire them to see what we see." Just then, one of the Zirians who had initially protested now stepped tentatively to join the conversation. their expression softer. "I wish to comprehend what this salvi truly represents," they said, vulnerability touching their voice. "Will you teach us, Leah? Will you allow me to stretch my understanding?" The Xerians' request rippled through the crowd, sparking intrigue in others who began to express their own willingness to learn. The evening's tensions began to melt away, a new modality shaping the night, one of communion rather than conflict. "Yes, we can create a space to share our cultures," Leah replied, her words resonating with an unquenched enthusiasm. "Perhaps we can form a council, a venue to foster discourse and understanding among all species." Viratha's eyes glimmered with delight. A council to celebrate our differences while recognizing our similarities could be the very foundation of a new legacy. As the night wore on, excitement brewed among the crowd. The initial edge of dissent had faded, replaced by a collective embrace of growth and exploration. Leah sensed the momentum building, clarity sharpening the vision before them. One of the guests, a dignitary from a neighboring species, stepped forward, curious about the salvi and its implications. "Are there other rituals from your cultures that may allow us to further relate?" they asked, allowing Leah to weave her narratives. Fortified by Viratha's presence and support, she began to share human customs centered on vulnerability and community. Stories of shared meals, trust-building exercises, and even dances that embodied connection. Each tale resonated with laughter and intrigue, reflecting the beauty of humanity's ability to bond. Virath soon followed suit, sharing Xerian customs steeped in honor, respect, and communal responsibility. The ceremonial dances intertwined with personal storytelling, rituals that emphasized connection, respect, and acknowledgement of one another's journeys. As dusk settled into night, laughter echoed alongside tender gestures of understanding. Virath glanced toward Leah, their admiration unmistakable. "You have a gift for bridging gaps, for fostering connection where there was once fear." Leah felt warmth bloom within her at Viratha's praise. "I couldn't have done it without you. Together, we sparked something unique, something beautiful." With the shadows of the night deepening, Leah realized the time had come to take the next step in their journey. The salvi had been a mere fragment of the vast ocean of understanding that lay ahead. "In light of our shared vulnerability, would you allow me to partake in another ritual?" she asked, her heart racing. "The ritual of the Xerians?" Virath responded, their voice laced with curiosity. "What did you have in mind?" "We must explore the depth of that intimacy. I wish to fully immerse myself in your world," she said, feeling a thrill run through her. "Will you teach me more of your customs? Will you guide me through the ceremonial expressions that resonate with your people?" Viratha's expression shifted, a cocktail of emotions passing across their face. "I am honored. The ritual is sacred, a way to connect body and spirit between partners. It will deepen our bond, should you wish to embrace it." "I do," Leah stated, determination threading through her voice. "I wish to honor your customs, to share in the beauty of your culture." With a nod, Virath conveyed respect. "Then come, we shall prepare the space together." As luxuriant flowers glimmered under the soft luminescence of the ballroom lights, they led one another to a quiet corner of the vast room, crafting a sanctuary amidst the chaos. Charming decorations adorned the area, a tapestry of colors bearing the mark of their cultures. Their movements were graceful, the space they created an embodiment of both vulnerability and strength. As the atmosphere shifted toward intimacy, Leah felt her heartbeat quicken, her anticipation mingling with excitement. "Before we begin, understand that rituals such as these are profound," Virath intoned softly, their gaze unwavering. "They bind us together, not just in this moment, but in spirit. Are you sure?" Leah took a deep breath, her resolve firm. "I am sure. I trust you." As night enveloped them, Virath began to guide Leah through a ritual with the rhythmic grace of someone deeply attuned to their origins. They intertwined movements, spoken phrases, and gestures that exuded both warmth and reverence. In time, they stood before one another, palms pressed together, experiencing a spiritual merging of two souls facing the unknown, a ceremonial declaration that transcended mere words. As they delved deeper into the ritual, Virith began to share the meaning of each movement, a tale woven through the fabric of their customs, highlighting the significance of embodied vulnerability and mutual respect. "I'm allowing you to see me as I am," Virith whispered, their voice infused with sincerity. Not merely the aristocrat, but the being who yearns for understanding. In that moment, Leah felt a floodgate within her open, an invitation to shed her layers of doubt and fear. She mirrored Virith's movements, embracing the beauty of their shared experience. Together, we forge a new understanding. Together, we create what has not yet been. Every movement felt like a soft caress upon her spirit, as if the weight of the world began to lift, replaced by the gentle warmth of emerging connection, an understanding built on the richness of vulnerability. Hand in hand, they wove through the sacred ritual, not just connecting bodies, but intertwining destinies, a promise to shape the future together. As the ritual unfolded, the atmosphere transformed into something intangible yet profound. The energy crackled in the air, a mix of excitement and anticipation, punctuated by the radiant connection between Leah and Virith. Each movement echoed with significance, solidifying their desire to forge a bond that transcended their differences. The room that had once felt vast and populated now felt intimate, a bastion of understanding crafted by two souls bravely weaving their narratives together. As they engaged in the ritual, the surrounding audience faded into a distant hum, their hearts entranced by the unfolding connection. "Each gesture tells a story," Virith whispered, guiding Leah through the elegant motions. "Every twist, every turn carries weight. It captures our hopes, our fears, and ultimately, our dreams. You have embraced understanding, and now we forge ahead." Leah felt each word resonate within her, and she mirrored Virith's movements, allowing the vulnerability of the moment to wash over her. "I've never felt anything like this," she confessed, her voice a soft murmur. "It's as if we're molded from the same fabric, yet intricately unique." Virith smiled, their violet eyes gleaming under the soft luminescence of the lights. "We are two entities, yes, but it's in our partnership that we create something new, a tapestry woven from our strengths and experiences." As the ritual deepened, the simple actions of touching, entwining hands, and shared gazes transformed into an act of unearthing their shared essence. With every motion, a growing sense of harmony coursed between them, the boundaries of their cultures tiptoeing into a fragile alliance. Yet, amidst this crescendo of unity, a shadow loomed. The lingering discomfort of those around them remained unforgotten. The initial dissenters stood nearby, murmurs still floating like a whispering wind, challenging the resolve they all sought to establish. "Are you sure you wish to witness this?" one of the dissenters called out, skepticism cloaked in disdain. "Can an amalgamation of two worlds truly thrive?" Leah paused for a breath, grounding herself in the moment, unable to shake the unease. "What we seek is not a singular existence, but unity and diversity. We're here to expand our horizons, not replace them." Virith took a moment, turning toward Leah with a proud, assuring gaze. "This is our sacred moment, not just ours, but for everyone here. If they are willing to engage, we welcome them to witness and understand." A silence fell over the edges of their gathering, a collective exhale as guests exchanged nervous glances, torn between ingrained beliefs and the burgeoning sparks of curiosity ignited by Leah and Virith's connection. "Perhaps," one brave Zirian acknowledged, stepping forward, "we must understand before we judge." "That's exactly it," Leah exclaimed, emboldened by the shift in the room. "Change demands empathy, not separation. In understanding, we can build bridges." Slowly, another Zirian joined them, and then another, as if emboldened by the courage newly blooming in the air. The ritual had sparked transformation. It created an opening for dialogue, for shared experiences, and for tearing down the walls of prejudice. As Leah and Virith resumed their movements, their bond strengthened visibly. The crowd began to shift from passively observing to actively engaging in the moment. They moved closer, allowing shared breaths and pulsating energies to ripple through their gathering, until finally, the descent transitioned into exploration. Leah exchanged small smiles with Virith, a silent acknowledgement that they had begun to peel back the layers of misunderstanding within the crowd. With every step, we illuminate what lies hidden, not just in ourselves, but in one another, Virith whispered, the warmth in their breath igniting a new energy. The ritual persisted, stretching into an enchanting dance as allies joined in hand, species intertwined, cultures melding. Laughter echoed harmoniously, a laughter that was yielded from acceptance. It was a collective journey toward embracing mutual respect. As the night deepened and their movements flowed seamlessly into one another, the realization that this moment marked a crucial turning point settled within Leah. They had planted the seeds of something monumental, a burgeoning legacy charting a path for understanding amid differences. In the midst of the dance, Virith caught Leah's gaze with a depth that momentarily suspended reality itself. Here, we transcend the very roots of division, they said softly, drawing her closer. Together, we craft a new reality. Leah could feel the power of that statement thrum within her. Their bond had transformed into an energizing force, something larger than either could comprehend alone. I believe we're destined for beauty, she replied, a whispered promise born of hope. As the echoes of their ritual began to resonate throughout the gathered crowd, the dawn of new cultural integration shimmered brightly on the horizon, a promise to embrace and uplift one another. In the heart of the Luxian embassy, beneath the chandelier's soft glow, cultures clashed, fused, and emerged anew, united by empathy that would ultimately etch a transformative legacy into the very fabric of their existence. As the final notes of the communal dance faded into the night, a profound sense of unity enveloped the gathering. The contrasting cultures of humans, Xerians, and others melded within the illuminated space, transforming the ballroom into a vibrant tapestry of connection and understanding. Leah could hardly believe how far they had come since the outset of the evening. She, a human diplomat, and Virith, an alien aristocrat, standing shoulder to shoulder, champions of a blossoming alliance. The bond they had forged in the face of adversity now served as a beacon of hope for every being present. With the last echoes of laughter hanging in the air, Virith turned to Leah, their expression a mixture of pride and affection. What we've begun here tonight is just the first step in a long journey, a journey we will face together. Leah felt her heart swell at those words. I never imagined I could find such profound connection in a place so unfamiliar. It's as if this night stripped away all layers and revealed the essence of who we are. Virith nodded, eyes sparkling with the promise of possibility. A new legacy awaits us both, not just defined by our differences, but celebrated through our strengths. We can't control the past, but we can shape the future. As the crowd began to envelop them, curiosity glimmering within their gaze, one of the former dissenters approached. I've realized, they started, voice timid yet determined, that we cannot cast aside our customs. Rather, we can allow them to grow and flourish through understanding. You have opened my eyes tonight. Together, we can all grow, Leah replied, her voice unwavering. It is an ongoing journey, an exchange of cultures, thoughts, and expressions. Through that, we honor one another. The crowd murmured in agreement, expressing their hopes for a future built upon collaboration and respect. Leah and Virith exchanged glances, knowing that this was only the beginning. As the night began to wane and people started to depart, there was a new energy in the air, hopeful, transformative, and vibrant. The bonds formed within the ballroom would reach far beyond its walls, whispering promises of collaboration into the cosmos. Will you stand with me, Leah? Virith asked, their voice low and intimate, drawing closer. Will you be my partner, not just in this moment, but in the councils to come? Leah felt her breath catch in her throat. Always, she replied, her heart blooming at the prospect of a future entwined with Virith. With a shared understanding, they stepped away from the crowd and faced the expansive view of the galaxy framed by the embassy's grand windows. The stars glittered like promises scattered across the dark fabric of the universe, a reminder of all that lay ahead. I want to learn from you, Leah said, her gaze locked on the celestial spectacle. I want to explore our cultural landscapes together, bridging worlds in every way we can. Virith wrapped their arm around her waist, holding her close. and I wish to embrace the richness of humanity's heart. Your stories, your expressions. Together, we can paint a brighter future. With the soft luminescence of their surroundings illuminating them, they stood united, a promise in the silence of the night. Hand in hand, they gazed at the stars, each shimmering point a testament to the undiscovered paths they would walk together. As dawn approached, casting hues of gold and lavender across the horizon, Lia felt a surge of emotion wash over her. No longer were they confined to the limitations of their respective cultures. They had become pioneers of a new narrative, an inspiring message of love, understanding, and collaboration. As the first rays of light broke through the darkness, they embraced, sealing the unspoken bond between them. With hearts synchronized in hope, they took their first step into the new world they were destined to create, one where barriers faded in the light of acceptance, illuminated by the stars they often gazed upon. Together, Lia and Virith witnessed the dawn of a legacy that would defy the echoes of history, a legacy rich in the promise of unity, empathy, and shared